When you hear the word Spartan, what's the first thing that pops into your head? For most of us, it's probably a scene straight out of a movie. Chiseled warriors in bronze helmets, shouting battle cries before a legendary clash. But what if I told you that the reality of Spartan life was even more fascinating, complex, and downright strange than the legends? The iconic phrase, "This is Sparta," only scratches the surface of one of history's most disciplined and misunderstood societies. Today, we're pulling back the curtain and diving deep into the world of ancient Sparta. Get ready, because we're about to uncover 5 surprising truths that will completely change how you see these legendary people. So, let's start at the very beginning. Literally, in Sparta, your life's journey began with a test, just moments after you were born. It wasn't a written exam, of course. Instead, newborn babies were brought before a council of elders for inspection. These elders would carefully examine the infant for any signs of weakness, illness, or physical deformity. If the baby was deemed healthy and strong, they were returned to their parents to be raised as a future citizen. But if they were considered unfit, their fate was grim. The baby was often taken to a nearby chasm and left to the elements. It sounds incredibly harsh to us, and it was. But for the Spartans, this wasn't about cruelty, it was about survival. In their eyes, every single citizen had to be strong enough to contribute to the state's defense. A weak link, even at birth, was a risk they believed they couldn't afford. This brutal practice set the stage for a life defined by one core principle: strength above all else. Now let's talk about the women of Sparta, because they were unlike almost any other women in the ancient world. While women in places like Athens were largely confined to the home with few rights or public roles, Spartan women enjoyed a remarkable degree of freedom and influence. They were educated not just in domestic skills, but in literacy and even athletics. They could inherit and own property outright, manage large estates, and conduct business in their own name. This was practically unheard of elsewhere in Greece. Why were they given so much autonomy? It all came back to that core Spartan value. The state believed that strong mothers would produce strong children. So, women were expected to be physically fit, participating in sports and public exercises. Their primary duty was to bear future warriors, and a healthy, capable woman was seen as essential to securing Sparta's future. They were the backbone of Spartan society, managing the home front while the men were away training or at war. Speaking of war, it's easy to imagine that Spartans spent every waking moment on the battlefield. But that's another popular misconception. While their entire society was structured around creating the perfect soldier, the reality is that major wars were not a daily occurrence. So, what did a typical Spartan do all day? The answer is train. A lot. From the age of 7, boys were taken from their homes to live in military barracks, where they endured relentless physical training, learned survival skills, and were instilled with unwavering discipline. But life wasn't just drills and combat practice. A significant portion of their time was dedicated to farming and overseeing the helots, the state-owned serfs who worked the land. Furthermore, religion played a massive role in their lives. Spartans were deeply pious, and they would often delay or even abandon military campaigns to observe important religious festivals and rituals. Their daily life was a highly structured routine of discipline, duty, and devotion, not just constant warfare. All right, let's talk about food. Every culture has its signature dish, right? For the Spartans, it was a concoction known as melas zomos, or, more famously, black broth. And let me tell you, this was no gourmet meal. The recipe consisted of boiled pork, salt, vinegar, and a key ingredient: blood. Yes, you heard that right. Blood. It was a thick, dark stew that Spartans consumed regularly. To them, It was the ultimate warrior's meal, designed to be simple, sustaining, and to build toughness. To everyone else, it was famously disgusting. A visitor from another Greek city-state once tried it, and reportedly said he then understood why Spartans were so willing to die in battle, because death was preferable to eating that soup every day. But for Spartans, it was a symbol of their hardy, no-frills lifestyle. It was one more way they separated themselves from the perceived softness and luxury of other cultures. They didn't eat for pleasure, they ate for strength. Finally, let's explore one of Sparta's most powerful, yet often overlooked, weapons: psychological warfare. The Spartans mastered the art of intimidation long before the first spear was ever thrown. Every aspect of their appearance on the battlefield was calculated to inspire terror in their enemies. Their iconic crimson cloaks, called phoenixes, were not just for show. They served the practical purpose of making bloodstains less visible, masking any sign of injury, and making the warriors appear invincible. Their long, carefully combed hair was a symbol of free men and a mark of their elite status, a stark contrast to the shorn heads of slaves. Before a battle, they wouldn't just charge forward screaming. Instead, they would advance in a perfectly synchronized phalanx, marching in step to the rhythm of pipes and singing chilling war hymns. The sight and sound of this disciplined, unified, and seemingly fearless force advancing slowly across the field was often enough to break an enemy's morale before the fighting even began. They proved that sometimes the fear you create is more devastating than any sword. So, there you have it. From birth tests and empowered women to a diet of blood soup and the mastery of intimidation, the Spartans were so much more than just the one-dimensional warriors of legend. They were a people of extreme discipline, complex social structures, and brilliant strategy. Their entire world was built around the singular goal of creating an unbeatable state. Which of these facts surprised you the most? Let us know down in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. And if you enjoyed this journey into the real Sparta, make sure to hit that like button, share this video with a friend, and subscribe to the channel for more history that you won't find in the textbooks. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.